She knew the locket before her fingers touched it. It had been lying at the back of a narrow wooden drawer beneath old receipts, 2 loose buttons, a faded ribbon, and a key that no longer seemed to belong to anything. The drawer had not been opened in years. She had not planned to search through it that afternoon. She had been looking for something completely ordinary, something she would probably forget about by evening when the small curve of metal caught against her hand. For a few seconds, she did not lift it. Her fingers rested on the cold surface as though her body had remembered something before her mind could name it. The locket was smaller than she remembered. That surprised her. Certain things from childhood remain enormous in memory. A hallway can feel endless. A closed bedroom door can seem as large as a wall. One disappointed look can occupy an entire evening. A small object can become the keeper of something we did not yet have words for. She turned the locket over in her palm. There was a faint mark along one edge, the same tiny scratch she remembered making years earlier. She could not remember exactly how old she had been when she first held it. She only knew that there had been a time when this little object mattered enough that she had hidden it carefully, and then, somehow, learned to live without opening it again. Her thumb moved toward the clasp, then stopped. That is where I want to leave her for a while. Not because what is inside the locket is frightening, not because there is some terrible secret waiting for you, and certainly not because you have to solve anything before these words can mean something. There are moments when an old part of your life returns so quietly that you almost miss what is happening. Nothing dramatic announces it. No one rings a bell. The room looks the same. Your phone is still nearby. The dishes may still be in the sink. There may be traffic outside, unfinished work on a screen, a message you have not answered, a list you meant to complete. Yet something small touches something old in you. A sentence, a photograph, a smell from a kitchen you have not stood in for years, a tone in someone's voice, a familiar disappointment. The way someone turns away before you have finished speaking. The way you suddenly hear yourself apologizing when you have done nothing wrong. The way your body becomes alert before your thoughts understand why. And for one brief moment, the adult you have become stands very close to the child you once were. You do not have to force that moment tonight. You do not have to search your memory. You do not have to dig for pain in order to prove that healing matters. Nothing here requires you to produce a childhood story, recover a forgotten scene, forgive anyone on command, or feel something impressive. This is not a test of how self-aware you are. It is not another assignment. It is not another place where you must perform your growth correctly. You have performed enough. You may not call it performing. You may call it being responsible. You may call it keeping the peace. You may call it being easy to live with, easy to work with, easy to depend on. You may call it maturity. You may even call it love. And sometimes it is love. But there are other times when what looks like calm on the outside is actually a very old habit of scanning the room before deciding which version of you is safest to bring into it. You know the habit. You enter a conversation and almost immediately begin reading the other person's face. Are they irritated? Did their voice change? Was that answer shorter than usual? Are they tired, or are they upset with you? Did you say too much? Did you not say enough? Should you explain yourself now before there is even a misunderstanding? Should you make a joke? Should you change the subject? Should you become useful? Should you become quiet? It can happen so quickly that you do not experience it as a decision. Your attention simply leaves you. It travels across the room and takes up residence in somebody else. What do they need? What are they feeling? What will keep everything steady? What can you do so this does not become uncomfortable? And somewhere underneath all of that careful attention, your own feeling waits without being asked its name. You may have become very good at this, so good that people praise you for it. They may tell you that you are thoughtful, reliable, strong, understanding, patient, the one who never makes things difficult, the one who can handle anything. And there is beauty in many of those qualities. There is also a question worth asking beneath them. Who were you before you learned that being easy for everyone else was safer than being fully known? You do not need to answer, just hear the question. Some questions are not doors we must push open. T. Hay are windows we sit beside until our eyes adjust. You may recognize yourself in a different way. You send a message, then check your phone more often than you intended. Not because the message was especially important, because silence begins creating meanings. You tell yourself you are only curious. Then 5 minutes become 10. 10 becomes 20. You open another app. You put the phone down. You pick it up again without thinking. Somewhere in your body, the lack of an answer starts to feel less like a delay and more like information about you. You wonder if you sounded foolish, too eager, too distant, too honest, too much, not enough. You begin rewriting a conversation that is already over. You improve your own sentences in your mind. You imagine better answers. You picture what the other person might have meant. You create arguments that never happened and apologies no one requested. You return to one expression on their face and examine it as if it were evidence. Later, someone asks how your day was. You say, "Fine." The word arrives before you have checked whether it is true. That automatic answer can become a small hiding place. Fine, busy, all good, just tired. Nothing serious. You may smile while saying it. You may even believe yourself for a moment. Then you are alone, and the feeling you postponed comes back to collect the attention it never received. Sometimes it arrives as exhaustion, sometimes irritation, sometimes an ache you cannot connect to one event. Sometimes you want to cry and cannot explain what the tears are about. Sometimes you do not cry at all. You clean something, organize something, watch something, work later than necessary, scroll past the point of enjoyment, eat without tasting, plan tomorrow before today has even settled. You keep moving because movement has often been easier than meeting the part of you that does not want another solution. It wants company. There is a difference, a very important difference. A child in distress does not always need a lecture on how to become stronger. A child does not need to be told that other people have it worse. A child does not need a 5-point plan before being worthy of comfort. Sometimes the deepest need is far less complicated. Someone stays. Someone listens. Someone does not laugh. Someone does not make the feeling inconvenient. Someone does not demand that the child become cheerful quickly so the room can become comfortable again. Many adults are still trying to earn what should never have required earning. Rest after enough work. Kindness after enough usefulness. Attention after enough achievement. Belonging after enough pleasing. Permission to say no after providing a convincing explanation. Permission to change their mind only after presenting evidence. Permission to be hurt only when everyone else agrees that the UFT was justified. Permission to leave only when the situation has become unbearable enough to defend the decision. Permission to need. That one can be the hardest. Because if you learned early that needs created tension, your needs may have become something you learned to translate. Instead of saying, "I need reassurance," you may ask many small questions. Instead of saying, "That hurt me," you may explain the other person's behavior to yourself until your own hurt becomes unreasonable. Instead of saying, "I cannot do this today," you may continue until resentment says it for you. Instead of saying, "Please stay with me," you may become especially helpful, especially pleasant, especially available, hoping your usefulness will make staying easier for the other person. Instead of saying, "I am afraid," you may over-prepare. Instead of saying, "I feel uncertain," you may try to control every possible outcome. Instead of saying, "I want to be chosen," you may choose everyone else first. None of this makes you false. It means you learned languages of protection. Some were quiet languages, some were impressive, some were rewarded. A child can learn very early which emotions bring closeness and which seem to create distance. They learn whether tears bring comfort or impatience. They learn whether anger is permitted. They learn whether questions are welcomed. They learn whether mistakes are treated as part of learning or as evidence of being difficult. They learn whether affection feels steady or whether it must be regained after disappointment. No child sits down and writes these rules deliberately. The rules enter through repetition. A look, a silence, a slammed cupboard, a tired parent, a distracted caregiver, a household under stress. a school where embarrassment felt dangerous, a family that loved deeply but did not always know how to speak about emotion, a home where practical survival left little room for tenderness, a place where everyone was doing the best they knew how to do, and still some needs went unmet. A place where harm may have been real and should never be minimized. Every story is different. That matters. We do not have to reduce your whole life to one explanation. We do not have to decide that every difficult habit came from childhood. We do not have to turn memory into a courtroom. We are doing something quieter. We are becoming curious about the moments when your present-day reaction seems larger than the present-day event. The message arrives late and your chest tightens. Someone disagrees with you, and suddenly you feel responsible for restoring harmony. A friend seems distant, and you begin inventorying your mistakes. Someone you love is disappointed, and your mind starts looking for the fastest way to erase their disappointment, even if doing so requires erasing your own preference. You receive criticism and hear more than the words being spoken. You hear a verdict, T. You make one mistake and feel the old urge to prove that you are still good. You say no and spend the next hour preparing the explanation you will give if anyone questions you. You rest, but part of you remains standing guard. You receive kindness and wonder when you will have to repay it. You are complimented and immediately reduce the compliment. You succeed and move the finish line. You are exhausted and tell yourself other people are doing more. Someone disappoints you, and you begin explaining why you should not be disappointed. Someone crosses a boundary, and you become concerned that naming it might hurt their feelings. Someone asks what you want, and your mind goes blank. Not because you have no desires, because you have practiced reading the room more often than reading yourself. My dear, that can become such a lonely way to live. You can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen if you are always presenting the version of yourself most likely to be accepted. You can receive love and still have difficulty resting inside it if some part of you believes love is safest when managed. You can have a peaceful day and still feel uneasy because peace itself is unfamiliar. You can finally reach the place you once dreamed about and discover that your nervous attention is still searching for the next thing to prevent. Then you may become frustrated with yourself. That frustration creates another layer. Why am I still like this? Why can't I just relax? Why do I care so much? Why did that bother me? Why am I thinking about this again? Why do I need reassurance? Why can't I be stronger? Why can't I let it go? Listen carefully to what happens in those questions. A part of you is hurting, and another part arrives to criticize the hurting part for hurting. The original pain becomes crowded by judgment. Then the judgment is judged. Now there is hurt, frustration about the hurt, shame about the frustration, and exhaustion from trying to get rid of all of it. This is one reason healing can feel strangely tiring when approached as another form of self-correction. You cannot shame yourself into becoming safe. You cannot bully yourself into peace. You cannot insult an old protective pattern until it relaxes. Protection does not usually release because it has been defeated. It begins to release when it discovers that something has changed. That change may begin with the way you speak to yourself. Not perfectly, not beautifully every time. Just differently enough that the old part of you starts receiving new information. I am not angry with you for being afraid. I am not ashamed that you need comfort. I understand why you learned this. You do not have to disappear for me. I am listening now. Those are not magical sentences. They do not erase history. They do not make difficult relationships suddenly easy. Their power is simpler. They end the argument between the adult you and the younger part that still reacts before logic arrives. You may have spent years believing that maturity meant never needing what you once needed. But growing older does not mean becoming a person who no longer deserves reassurance, protection, play, boundaries, tenderness, or rest. It means you have more ways to offer those things consciously. This is where many people misunderstand the idea of returning to the younger self. They think it means living backward, blaming everything on the past, becoming consumed by childhood, turning every present difficulty into an old wound. That is not what we are doing. We are not asking you to live in yesterday. We are asking whether something from yesterday is still trying to live through the way you treat yourself today. There is a difference. You can move forward while carrying an old belief. You can become successful while carrying it. You can become independent while carrying it. You can become admired, capable, educated, loving, generous, funny, spiritual, productive, and still carry one quiet belief underneath everything. I must earn the right to be cared for. Or, I should not need too much. Or, if someone is unhappy, I have probably done something wrong. Or, if I relax, something will fall apart. Or, if I show the whole truth of what I feel, I may become harder to love. These beliefs do not always announce themselves in words. Often they appear as behavior. You answer immediately even when you are tired. You rewrite the message 3 times. You say yes while your body says no. You prepare for rejection before anyone has rejected you. You leave first emotionally, so being left cannot surprise you. You become the listener and rarely the one being listened to. You rescue people who did not ask to be rescued. You avoid asking for help until the situation becomes impossible. You become uncomfortable when someone does something generous for you. You hold your breath during conflict. You soften your truth until it no longer sounds like your truth. You tell yourself you are keeping things peaceful, but peace that requires your disappearance is not peace. Sometimes it is only silence with good manners. You may feel a little resistance hearing that. Good. resistance is not failure. Resistance often means something important has been protected for a long time. There is no need to break through it. There is no prize for forcing an emotional door. You can stand outside the door and say, "I know you are there." That can be enough for today. You can look at the habit without immediately changing it. You can recognize the apology you were about to make. You can hear the explanation forming. You can catch the moment your attention leaves your own body and starts searching another person. See face for permission to feel okay. You do not have to correct it instantly. Recognition itself changes the relationship. The younger part of you may be very accustomed to being managed. Become less afraid. Become more confident. Stop caring. Get over it. Be grateful. Think positively. Move on. Do better. Work harder. Be easier. Healing begins to feel different when the message changes from management to companionship. Not, "How do I get rid of this part of me?" but, "What has this part been trying to protect?" Not, "Why am I so sensitive?" but, "What does my sensitivity detect before I have words for it?" Not, "Why do I always overthink?" but, "What certainty am I trying to create because uncertainty once felt expensive?" Not, "Why can't I trust?" but, "What happened to make caution feel intelligent?" Do you hear the change? There is less accusation, more understanding. And understanding does not mean every habit must remain. Compassion is not permission for every pattern to run your life forever. You can understand why something began and still decide that it no longer gets to make every decision. You can thank a protective pattern for what it tried to do and still teach it something new. You can say, "You helped me once." And also, you do not have to work so hard now. That is a very different kind of strength. There are adults who have spent decades trying to become invulnerable because vulnerability once seemed to cost too much. They believe the goal is to need no one, to feel no fear, to be unaffected by rejection, to walk away without grief, to never look back, to never feel uncertain. But a life without vulnerability is not a healed life. It is an armored one, and armor has a purpose. We should respect why it was built. We should never mock the person who needed it. We should never stand outside their history and say they should have been softer, braver, wiser, more trusting. The armor formed because something in them believed protection mattered. The question is not whether you were wrong to build it. The question is whether you still need to sleep in it. You can take off one piece at a time. You can discover that some people respond differently than people once did. You can discover that you respond differently now. You can leave conversations you once would have endured. You can tell the truth sooner. You can make choices without waiting for unanimous approval. You can disappoint someone without deciding you are a disappointment. You can survive being misunderstood. You can survive someone else needing time. You can let a message remain unanswered for a while without turning silence into a sentence about your worth. You can learn these things slowly, through experience, through repetition, through relationships where your boundaries are respected, through the way you begin respecting it your own. And while you learn, there may still be days when the old response arrives first. That does not erase what you have learned. Old alarms can ring in buildings that are no longer burning. The sound is still loud. Your body may still respond. But the sound is not always the same thing as danger. Sometimes it is memory doing what memory learned to do. You are permitted to check the room again. You are permitted to ask what is actually happening now, not what happened then, not what you fear might happen. What is happening now? That question can return you to yourself. Right now, perhaps nothing is demanding an answer. Nothing is asking you to prove you are lovable. Nothing is requiring a performance. These words are not grading you. You do not have to feel calmer by the end of this paragraph. You do not have to forgive your childhood. You do not have to decide whether your parents did enough or too little. You do not have to turn anyone into a villain. You do not have to turn anyone into a saint. Human stories are often more complicated than those categories. A person can love you and still fail to understand you. A family can provide many things and still miss something your heart needed. A caregiver can be overwhelmed by their own pain. A home can contain laughter and fear, safety and confusion, warm memories and lonely ones, love and silence. None of those truths automatically cancels the others. You are allowed complexity. You are allowed to remember good things without denying hard things. You are allowed to acknowledge hard things without declaring your whole past ruined. You are allowed to say, something in me learned to hide here. You are allowed to wonder why. The purpose is not accusation. The purpose is contact. Contact with the part of you that has been living underneath your adult competence. The one who appears when you are rejected. The one who appears when someone becomes distant. The one who appears when you fail publicly. The one who appears when you feel excluded. The one who appears when you make a mistake and suddenly feel 5 years old inside a grown body. The one who wants to be told that one difficult moment does not mean love is gone. That one mistake does not make you bad. That one person's inability to understand you does not make you impossible to understand. That needing comfort does not make you weak. That having boundaries does not make you cruel. That being tired does not make you lazy. That wanting more does not make you ungrateful. That saying no does not require a trial. That your emotions do not have to win a public vote before they are real. You can offer these truths now, even if no one offered them perfectly then, especially if no one offered them perfectly then. This is not about pretending the adult you can become your own entire world. Human beings need one another. We need friendship, witness, community, safe relationships, shared laughter, help, care. But the way you meet yourself changes the kind of care you can recognize and receive. If you are always abandoning your own preference before anyone else has the chance to reject it, you may never learn who would have respected it. If you are always saying yes before someone hears your no, you may never discover who could have loved you with a boundary. If you are always hiding your need before someone can respond, you may continue believing no one would respond. There is risk in being known. There is also life there. The younger part of you may not believe that yet. Do not argue. Think again of the woman with the locket. Her thumb is still resting beside the clasp. She has recognized the scratch. She remembers hiding the object. She remembers that it mattered, but she still has not opened it. There are reasons some things remain closed. Sometimes we close around what is precious. That is different from throwing it away. Sometimes what looks forgotten has only been kept somewhere the noise could not reach it. Sometimes a person becomes so practiced at surviving the outside world that they stop visiting the small inner rooms where tenderness was stored. They assume nothing living could remain there. Years have passed. Too much has happened. They are different now. They have responsibilities. People depend on them. They cannot go back. And they are right about one thing. You cannot go back and change what happened. But there is another kind of return. A return that does not ask the past to become different. A return that asks what you can bring to it now. The adult voice you have now. The choices you have now. The boundaries you are learning now. The tenderness you understand now. The ability to look at a frightened version of yourself and resist the urge to correct them. The ability to say, I see why you did that. I see why you became quiet. I see why you tried so hard. I see why you wanted everyone to be okay. I see why you learned to read the room. I see why praise mattered. I see why rejection felt enormous. I see why you tried to earn certainty. You were learning from the world you had. That sentence can change the temperature inside you. You were learning from the world you had, not from the world you should have had. Not from the tools you would gain decades later, not from the language you have now. You were learning with the awareness available then. And once we understand that, the question becomes less cruel. Instead of asking, what was wrong with me? We begin asking, what was I trying to protect? That question will lead us back to the locket. Soon, but not yet. Because before we open it, there is something more important than discovering what was hidden inside. We need to understand why it was kept safe at all. Because what is kept safe is not always being kept alive in the fullest sense. Protection can preserve something. Protection can also postpone what that something was meant to become. These two truths can exist together. There are seasons when hiding is wise. There are seasons when becoming quiet prevents more pain. There are seasons when keeping a feeling to yourself is the only choice you understand. There are seasons when pleasing the room seems more possible than changing the room. You do what you know. You protect what you can. Then years pass, the conditions change, but the old protection does not always receive the message. It keeps doing its job. This is how an old response can survive long after the moment that created it. It is not necessarily because you are choosing the past. It may be because some protective part of you still believes the past is happening. You can know intellectually that you are older now. Your body can still brace. You can know that one disagreement does not destroy a relationship. Your mind can still rush toward repair. You can know you have the right to decline. Your throat can still tighten around the word no. You can know that someone else's mood may have nothing to do with you. Your attention can still start gathering evidence. Knowledge matters. But knowledge is not always the first language learned by the parts of us that became watchful very early. Those parts learned through experience. They learned through repetition, and often they learned safety the same way, not through one magnificent breakthrough, through new experiences repeated enough that something inside begins to believe them. You say no, and the world does not end. You tell the truth, and someone stays. You ask for help and are not humiliated. You rest and discover that your worth did not decrease. You disappoint someone and survive their disappointment. You make a mistake and choose not to punish yourself for 3 days. You feel an emotion without immediately turning it into a problem. Small experiences. But they are not small to the part of you that expected something else. This is where the image inside the locket begins to matter. The clasp gives a little beneath the woman's thumb, not all the way, just enough for a thin line of darkness to appear between the two halves. She can feel the hinge resist. Metal that has stayed closed for years does not move as smoothly as something opened every day. She does not force it. She shifts the locket in her palm and presses again. A quiet click. The two sides separate. Inside, beneath a tiny faded piece of cloth, is something so ordinary that another person might not understand why she stops breathing for a second. A seed. One tiny seed. Dry. Small enough to disappear between two fingers. It has been inside the locket for years. No sunlight, no soil, no ray, song, no season, no chance to root. And yet her first thought is not that the seed is dead. Her first thought is that she saved it. She does not yet remember why. That part will come. For now, stay with the image. A seed was kept safe in a place where nothing could reach it. No boot could crush it. No animal could carry it away. No careless hand could sweep it from a table. No harsh ground could refuse it. No cold season could take it. The locket protected the seed beautifully. It also could not become a garden. This is not a criticism of the locket. The locket did exactly what a locket can do. It held something. It kept something close. It protected something delicate from being lost. But protection was never the same as planting. And there may be parts of your life where you are beginning to understand this distinction. You may have learned to protect your heart by expecting less. That helped you avoid disappointment. But expecting less may now make it difficult to receive more. You may have protected yourself by becoming independent. That helped you survive times when support was unreliable. But independence may now become so rigid that care feels threatening. You may have protected yourself by thinking through every possible outcome. That helped you feel prepared. But preparation can become a room with no windows when the mind never receives permission to stop. You may have protected yourself by becoming agreeable. That reduced conflict. But agreement without honesty can slowly separate you from your own voice. You may have protected yourself by staying busy. Busy people do not always have time to feel everything. But what is postponed emotionally does not always disappear. You may have protected yourself by becoming funny, useful, competent, easygoing, private, strong. None of these qualities is wrong. Many are beautiful. The question is whether they still belong to you freely, or whether you must keep performing them because some older part of you is afraid of what happens if you stop. A seed in a locket is safe from the ground. It is also safe from becoming itself. That is the tender paradox. Growth asks for contact with uncertainty, contact with nourishment, contact with space, contact with conditions you cannot completely control. A seed must leave the polished little chamber that kept it untouched. It must enter darkness of another kind. Soil. That seems strange at first. The locket is beautiful. The soil is messy. The locket can be held in the hand. The soil cannot be perfectly controlled. The locket keeps the seed exactly as it is. The soil asks the seed to change. This may be why healing sometimes feels less comfortable than protection. Protection says, "Stay as you are, and I will try to prevent pain." Healing says, "You may change now, and I will help you meet what comes." Those are different promises. The first promise is about control. The second is about relationship. You may not be able to control whether every person understands you, but you can change the way you respond when they do not. You may not control whether someone approves of your boundary, but you can refuse to translate their discomfort into evidence that your boundary was wrong. You may not control who stays, but you can stop offering pieces of yourself as payment for permanence. You may not control whether someone answers quickly, but you can begin questioning the old story that silence automatically means rejection. You may not control every outcome. You can become a person who does not disappear from themselves whenever an outcome is uncertain. That is soil, not certainty. Relationship with yourself. You may have been taught to think Healing would feel like never being triggered again, never being afraid, never feeling jealous, never becoming sad, never needing reassurance, never thinking about the past, never reacting in a way you wish you had not. But living things do not grow in perfectly controlled conditions. They respond, they bend, they have seasons, they need rest. They can be affected by what surrounds them. The goal is not to become a person untouched by life. The goal is to become more able to remain in relationship with yourself while life touches you. This changes the way you respond to difficult days. Instead of saying, "I thought I was past this," you might say, "Something old became active today." Instead of deciding that one anxious evening means you have made no progress, you can ask what the anxious part is trying to prevent. Instead of treating tears like evidence of failure, you can treat them as information. Instead of being ashamed that you wanted someone to reassure you, you can decide whether reassurance would actually help and ask for it honestly. Instead of making your needs smaller to seem more evolved, you can let them become clearer. Clear needs are easier to meet than hidden ones. Clear boundaries are easier to respect than resentment disguised as agreement. Clear sadness is easier to hold than sadness forced to wear a smile. This is what it means to move from the locket toward the soil. Nothing dramatic has to happen. You do not throw the locket away. That would miss the point. You honor it. You understand what it did. You can even be grateful for the protection. Then you ask whether the seed needs something different now. This is how I want you to think about the parts of yourself you have judged most harshly. The people pleaser, the overthinker, the part that checks, the part that worries, the part that withdraws, the part that becomes overly responsible, the part that needs more time, the part that expects rejection before closeness has had a chance. Instead of imagining these parts as enemies, imagine each one as a little keeper standing beside a closed locket. Each keeper had one job. Do not let this precious thing get hurt again. That job may have become excessive. It may now interfere with relationships. It may exhaust you. It may make choices smaller than they need to be. We can acknowledge all of that without becoming cruel toward the part that learned the job. Cruelty does not teach safety. It teaches concealment. If you attack the worried part, it learns to worry quietly. If you shame the needy part, it learns to need secretly. If you condemn the angry part, anger may go underground and return as resentment. If you ridicule the frightened part, fear does not vanish. It learns not to tell you the truth. The goal is not to let every emotion make every decision. The goal is to create enough inner honesty that you can hear what is happening before choosing what to do. Fear can speak without becoming the leader. Anger can speak without becoming the weapon. Sadness can speak without becoming the whole future. Need can speak without becoming shame. You become the one who listens. Then you choose. This is adult care, not domination, not indulgence. Care. There is something powerful about saying to yourself, "I understand why this response appeared, and I am still going to choose what serves me now. You do not need to pick one side. You can understand the old response and choose a new action. You can feel afraid and make the phone call. You can want approval and still say no. You can feel hurt and wait before sending the message. You can miss someone and still know the relationship was not good for you. You can love people and refuse access to parts of your life they repeatedly mishandle. You can forgive in your own way and maintain distance. You can feel compassion for someone's history without volunteering to become the place where their unhealed pain lands. These are signs that the seed is leaving the locket. Not because you have stopped feeling, because feeling no longer requires surrendering your entire direction. Consider how a seed begins. From the outside, very little appears to happen. It enters soil. It disappears. If you judged growth only by what could be seen above ground, you might think nothing was happening. This is one reason inner change can be difficult to respect. The most important shifts are often invisible at first. The pause before the automatic apology. The moment you realize you're about to explain too much. The evening you notice you have checked the phone 6 times and choose to place it in another room. The first time you let someone misunderstand a small thing without immediately rushing to correct their opinion of you. The moment you feel guilt after setting a reasonable boundary and decide the guilt does not automatically mean you have done something wrong. No one applauds. There may be no dramatic feeling. Nothing appears on the surface, but something has moved. A root has begun. Roots do not grow toward applause, they grow toward nourishment. Your inner life may need the same privacy. Not every change needs to be announced. Not every boundary needs a speech. Not every act of self-respect needs to become a declaration. You can grow quietly. You can become less available for what harms you without creating a public ceremony around it. You can stop arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. You can stop explaining the same boundary in 5 different ways to someone who heard you the first time. You can choose not to answer immediately. You can create more space between stimulus and response. You can have a private moment in which you choose yourself differently. This kind of growth may seem almost invisible, but invisibility does not make it insignificant. Think of what happens beneath soil. A seed does not become a flower by forcing itself upward in one movement. The outer casing softens. Something opens. A tiny root moves downward before anything moves toward the light. That direction matters. Down before up. Anchoring before blooming. There is wisdom in that. Many people want the visible part of healing, confidence, peace, better relationships, more energy, the ability to speak freely. But visible growth needs somewhere to root. What are your roots? The way you speak to yourself when no one hears, the promises you keep privately, the boundaries you honor even when nobody praises you, the rest you take before you are completely depleted, the people you stop chasing for proof, the truth you admit when it would be easier to perform, the way you respond after making a mistake. These are roots. If your inner voice becomes harsh whenever you struggle, the soil becomes difficult. If you call yourself foolish for being hurt, the soil becomes difficult. If you demand immediate progress, the soil becomes difficult. This does not mean you need perfect thoughts. You do not. Soil is not perfect. It contains broken material, old leaves, fragments, things that have ended and become part of what nourishes something new. There is another paradox there. Not everything from the past must be discarded. Some experiences become wisdom. Some pain becomes discernment. Some endings become boundaries. Some mistakes become clarity. Some disappointments teach you which promises you should stop making against yourself. The goal is not to erase the past. It is to transform your relationship with what remains. A seed does not argue with the soil about where every particle came from. It uses what can nourish growth. You can do something similar without romanticizing what hurt you. You do not have to say that pain happened for a reason. You do not have to be grateful for harm. You do not have to call every wound a gift. Some things were simply painful. Some things should not have happened. Some people should have treated you better. You are allowed to say this plainly, and you are also allowed to ask, what do I know now that I did not know then? Not to justify the pain, to reclaim your present. You may know now that love without respect is not enough. You may know that chemistry is not the same as safety. You may know that being needed is not the same as being valued. You may know that someone can miss you and still not know how to treat you well. You may know that an apology without changed behavior cannot carry an entire relationship. You may know that being chosen means very little if you must abandon your truth to remain chosen. You may know that peace sometimes begins with disappointing the version of you who believed everyone else had to be comfortable first. This is growth. Not the kind that announces, I am healed now. The kind that says, I am responding differently. The seed does not declare itself complete when the first root appears. It continues. There will be days of stronger growth, days of stillness, days when the old protective shell seems to return. There may be relationships that awaken responses you thought were gone. There may be anniversaries your body seems to remember before you do. There may be places, songs, expressions, or silences that open an old room without warning. You are not required to interpret every reaction. Sometimes the kindest response is very practical. I am tired. I need food. I need quiet. I need to step away from this conversation. I need to talk with someone I trust. I need more information before deciding. I need a day before answering. I need to stop reading this message repeatedly. I need to sleep on this. I need to admit that this hurts. Simple truths can be soil. They bring you back from the abstract world of what everything means into the immediate world of what you need now. The younger self often did not have that freedom. Children live inside conditions largely created by other people. They cannot always leave. They cannot always explain. They cannot always name what is wrong. They cannot always find the person they need. They adapt. Adults have different possibilities, not unlimited possibilities, but more. You can choose some of your environment now. You can decide who receives your deepest truth. You can choose what behavior gets repeated access to you. You can learn language for experiences that once had no words. You can recognize patterns. You can ask for support. You can step out of roles you inherited. You can question rules you did not consciously choose. One of those rules may be that love requires constant self-sacrifice. Another may be that conflict is dangerous. Another may say that rest must be earned. Another may say that your emotions are too much. Another may insist that you are responsible for holding everyone together. You can examine these rules one by one, not with anger toward the child who believed them, with the calm authority of the adult who can now ask whether they are still true. Does saying no really make you unlovable? Does asking for help actually make you a burden? Does someone's disappointment mean you have failed? Does a delayed reply prove rejection? Does being misunderstood erase your truth? Does needing time make you difficult? These questions loosen old soil. They make room. A seed needs room. So do you. Room to change your mind. Room to become less predictable. Room to stop playing a role because other people became comfortable with it. Room to be kind without being endlessly available. Room to be generous without using generosity to secure belonging. Room to be strong without pretending strength means silence. Room to be loving without turning love into permission for mistreatment. Room to be uncertain. Room to learn. Room to have a bad day without turning that day into your identity. The child you were may not have had much room. The adult you are can begin creating it. That is part of what holding the younger self means. Not carrying them around as an eternal wound. Creating conditions now that contradict the conditions that taught them to hide. If they learned that mistakes brought withdrawal, you practice staying kind to yourself after mistakes. If they learned that needs annoyed people, you practice naming needs without apology. If they learned that peace depended on pleasing everyone, you practice tolerating the discomfort of healthy disagreement. If they learned that emotions were dangerous, you practice letting emotion exist before deciding what action belongs with it. This is not instant. It is relational. Every new response says something to the old part of you. I live differently now. I have choices now. I can speak now. I can leave some rooms now. I can ask questions now. I can protect myself without disappearing. The woman at the drawer is still holding the seed. She has taken it out of the locket now. It rests against the center of her palm. She studies it as if she expects recognition to arrive through her skin. There is dust along one side. The little surface is hard and dry. Years of stillness contained in something smaller than a fingernail. She could throw it away. Most people would. It may not grow. She has no proof, no guarantee. That matters. Healing is not a promise that every old thing can be restored exactly as it once might have been. You cannot recover every missed experience. You cannot recreate every childhood moment. You cannot become the person you would have been under completely different conditions, because that person is imaginary. You are here. This is the life you have. This is the self you are meeting. And there is dignity in beginning from what is real. The seed may grow. It may not. The deeper question is whether she will finally give it what the locket never could. Warmth, space, soil, contact, a place where remaining unchanged is no longer the only form of safety. Her fingers close around it, not tightly, just enough to keep it from falling. Then another memory begins moving toward her. Not the full memory, only a feeling at first, a younger hand, a small patch of ground. A decision made quickly, a reason the seed could not be planted then. She does not have the whole story yet, but something in her knows that the locket was never meant to be the seed's permanent home. It was only where a child put something precious when there was nowhere else she trusted to leave it. And this is the question waiting for us now. What changes when the place that once protected you is no longer the place where you need to live? What changes is that protection can finally become care, not because the old shelter was wrong, because you are no longer asking it to do a job it was never designed to do forever. A locket can guard a seed. It cannot teach the seed how to root. A protective pattern can help you survive uncertainty. It cannot build every relationship for you. It cannot choose every boundary. It cannot decide what kind of life you deserve now. There comes a point when safety must become larger than hiding, larger than avoiding, larger than predicting every possible disappointment, larger than being good enough that nobody has a reason to leave. Real safety is not the promise that nothing difficult will happen. That promise cannot be made. Real safety begins to sound more like this. If something difficult happens, I will listen to myself. If something is wrong, I will not pretend it is right just to keep someone close. If I become afraid, I will not humiliate myself for being afraid. If I need help, I will consider asking. If someone crosses a line that matters, I will take my own discomfort seriously. If I make a mistake, I will repair what I can without turning the mistake into my identity. These are not dramatic vows. They are conditions. Warm soil is made from conditions. The younger part of you does not need you to promise that no one will ever disappoint you again. It needs evidence that disappointment will no longer automatically mean losing yourself. It does not need you to promise that every relationship will last. It needs evidence that you can survive honesty inside relationships. It does not need you to promise that you will never feel rejected. It needs evidence that rejection will not become permission to reject yourself too. This is how protection begins to soften. Not through argument, through evidence, new evidence, repeated evidence, a different response site, and a familiar moment. The phone stays silent, and instead of constructing a story about your worth, you return to the room you are actually in. Someone misunderstands you, and instead of explaining yourself 10 different ways, you decide whether this person is listening in good faith. A boundary creates discomfort, and instead of assuming discomfort means wrongdoing, you ask whether the boundary was respectful and necessary. You become sad, and instead of hurrying to fix the sadness, you let the sadness be honest for a while. You make space. That is what the seed needed. Space. And as the woman stands there with the tiny seed in her palm, the memory that had been approaching finally becomes clear. She remembers a yard from years ago. Not every detail. Memory rarely returns like a perfect film. She remembers pieces, a patch of dry ground beside a fence, a little paper packet folded at the top, a child's hand inside the packet, a few seeds rolling into the palm. She remembers wanting to plant one. She had seen something growing nearby and had become fascinated by the idea that something so small could become something visible. She dug at the ground with a spoon. The earth was hard. She tried another place, still hard. Someone called her from inside. There was no time. The little hole was barely a hole. She remembers looking down at the seed and feeling that strange seriousness children can give to tiny decisions. She did not want to lose it. She did not want to leave it somewhere it might disappear. So she ran inside with it. The locket was nearby. She opened it. She placed the seed inside, and she made herself a promise that only a child would make with complete sincerity. I will plant it when I find the right place. Then life moved. Other things became important. Days passed. The locket went into a drawer. The drawer changed houses. The child grew. The promise disappeared from conscious memory, but the seed remained. That is why her face changes now. She had not put the seed away because she did not care. She had put it away because she cared so much that she did not want to risk losing it in the wrong ground. The hiding was an act of protection. The waiting simply lasted longer than she intended. Can you feel what that means? Some parts of you may have been waiting in exactly this way, not consciously, not literally, but emotionally. A voice you stopped using, a softness you stopped showing, a need you stopped admitting, a creativity you postponed, a truth you knew but did not know how to live, a kind of trust that felt too risky to place anywhere. Perhaps you did not destroy these parts. Perhaps you stored them. Perhaps what you call lost was protected. Perhaps what you call weakness was something that never received the conditions where it could become strength in a Hish, Lothier form. This does not mean everything from childhood is secretly waiting to bloom. It does not mean every difficulty comes from one forgotten wound. Human beings are more complex than that. But the metaphor can help us see something simple. Sometimes we mistake dormancy for death. Sometimes we mistake protection for personality. Sometimes we say, "This is just who I am," when what we really mean is, "This is how I learned to stay safe." Those are very different statements. "This is just who I am" closes the door. "This is what I learned" creates room. If you learned it, you may be able to learn something else. Not instantly, not by denying what came before. By giving yourself new conditions often enough that a new response becomes available. The woman takes the seed to a window. She turns it over carefully. There is no visible sign of life. Nothing green, nothing soft, no proof that anything will happen. She could decide that too much time has passed. She could decide there is no point. But that would be another form of demanding certainty before offering care. And how often have you done that to yourself? I will believe in myself when I have proof. I will rest when everything is finished. I will trust my feelings when someone else confirms them. I will speak once I know nobody will misunderstand me. I will try after I know I cannot fail. I will open when I know I cannot be hurt. Certainty first, life second. But growth rarely makes that bargain. A seed does not receive a guarantee before entering the soil. It receives conditions. That is enough to begin. Maybe the most loving question is not, "Will this work?" Maybe it is, "What conditions would support life here? What would support your life now? More rest? A clearer boundary? Less contact with someone who repeatedly leaves you diminished? More time with people around whom your body does not feel like it must perform? Professional support for something that feels too heavy to carry alone? An honest conversation? A door closed? A door opened? A creative hour protected from everyone else's needs? A morning without beginning inside someone else's messages? A decision to stop turning every emotion into evidence? You do not need all the answers today. One condition can change. 1. The seed does not need an entire garden on the first day. It needs somewhere to begin. This is where we come to the line I want you to carry deeper. Do not rush through it. Do not try to make yourself believe every word immediately. Listen first. I hold the younger me with love, and I give that living seed a safe place to grow. Let the line arrive as it is. You may feel warmth. You may feel nothing. You may feel resistance. All three responses are welcome here. I hold the younger me with love, and I give that living seed a safe place to grow. Say it again, more gently, not louder, not with more effort, with less argument. I hold the younger me with love, and I give that living seed a safe place to grow. There may be one word that catches inside you. Safe. That word can be complicated. For some people, safe sounds comforting. For others, it sounds unfamiliar. For some, safety has been temporary, conditional, unpredictable, attached to someone else's mood, attached to performance, attached to silence, attached to staying small. So if the word safe creates tension instead of relief, do not force it into something beautiful. Be honest. You may not fully know what safety feels like yet. You may know what absence of obvious danger feels like. You may know what control feels like. You may know what being alone feels like. You may know what being needed feels like. You may know what keeping everyone happy feels like. Those experiences can sometimes be mistaken for safety because they are familiar. Familiarity is powerful. The nervous system often prefers a known pattern over an unknown possibility, even when the known pattern is exhausting. This is why a healthier relationship can sometimes feel strange at first. There may be less chasing, less uncertainty, less emotional intensity, less guessing. And a part of you may ask, where is the proof that this matters? Because you learn to associate intensity with importance. A calm boundary may feel less dramatic than an argument. A steady person may seem harder to read than an unpredictable one. Rest may feel empty before it begins to feel restorative. Receiving may feel uncomfortable before it feels natural. New soil feels different. That does not automatically mean it is wrong. The younger part of you may need time to discover that warmth can be steady. That affection does not have to be earned every day. That disagreement does not always mean abandonment. That someone can have a separate mood without it becoming your emergency. That you can be loved and still be told no. That you can tell someone no and still love them. That you can leave a harmful situation without betraying the idea of compassion. That you can choose distance without hatred. That you can protect your peace without pretending everything is peaceful. This matters. Peace does not require you to stay where you are being harmed. Love does not require unlimited access. Compassion does not require tolerating abuse, coercion, threats, humiliation, manipulation, or repeated violations of your boundaries. There are situations where the kindest thing you can do for yourself is not to soften toward the situation. It is to get support, to create distance, to seek safety, to speak to someone trustworthy, to contact qualified help when that is needed. Affirmations, reflective practices, and compassionate self-talk can support well-being, but they are not substitutes for medical care, mental health treatment, emergency support, legal advice, or other qualified professional help when those are appropriate. Needing skilled support does not mean you failed at healing. It means some things deserve more support than one person can provide alone. The child in you does not benefit from an adult who insists on handling everything alone in order to prove strength. Sometimes protection now looks like community. Sometimes it looks like professional care. Sometimes it looks like documentation. Sometimes it looks like leaving. Sometimes it looks like resting. Sometimes it looks like asking another person to stand beside you while you do something difficult. So when we talk about holding the younger self, we are not talking about retreating into private affirmations while ignoring real-world danger. The soil must actually be safer. The conditions matter. Words matter too. But words are not meant to cover what needs action. This is part of adult love. The adult you can offer tenderness and reality at the same time. You can say, "I understand why you are frightened," and then check the facts. You can say, "You deserve care," and then make the appointment. You can say, "Your boundary matters," and then enforce it. You can say, "You do not have to carry this alone," and then call someone. That is not less spiritual. It is grounded. A seed requires more than beautiful thoughts about sunlight. It requires actual soil, actual water, actual conditions that support life. Your well-being deserves the same respect. Now return to the line once more. I hold the younger me with love, and I give that living seed a safe place to grow. You are not promising perfection. You are promising participation. You are saying that the younger part of you will no longer be the only one responsible for staying safe. The adult you is here now. That changes the arrangement. You can evaluate people. You can learn. You can seek support. You can change your mind. You can name what hurts. You can choose not to continue a conversation. You can leave a room. You can question an old rule. You can build new routines. You can stop handing every decision to fear. The child had fewer choices. The adult has more. That does not mean the adult always feels powerful. Sometimes you will still feel small. That is one of the strangest parts of emotional memory. A moment can make you feel younger than you are. A tone of voice can do it. A criticism, a particular kind of silence, a person withholding affection, a sudden loss, a mistake made in front of other people. For a moment, your age seems to disappear. You know you are an adult, but the emotion belongs to another time. When that happens, there is no need to ridicule yourself. Orient yourself. Look around. Name what is true now. This is today. I am here. That was then. I have choices now. I can slow down before responding. I can ask what I need. I can leave if I need to. I can speak to someone. I do not have to repeat the old response just because the old feeling arrived. That is a root growing. The feeling may be old. The response can be new. This is how history stops deciding every next step. Not because history vanishes, because the present becomes stronger. the seed enters new ground. The woman eventually finds a small pot. Nothing special, no ceremonial object, no perfect garden, just a simple container with soil. She presses one finger into the center. A small opening appears. She places the seed inside. For a moment, it sits on the surface. After all those years in metal, it looks exposed. That is another truth about leaving protection. Exposure can feel frightening, even when the new environment is kinder. You may set your first honest boundary and feel exposed. You may tell someone what you need and feel exposed. You may stop chasing a person and feel exposed. You may admit that a relationship is hurting you and feel exposed. You may let yourself be cared for and feel exposed. You may say, "I do not know," and feel exposed. There is no shame in that. The locket was small, predictable, closed. Soil is open, living, changing. To something accustomed to being stored, growth can initially resemble danger. This is why patience matters. You do not need to tear away every protective layer at once. You do not need to tell everyone everything. You do not need to become radically vulnerable with people who have not earned trust. Discernment is part of healing. A seed needs openness. It also needs the right conditions. You are allowed to choose carefully. You are allowed to have privacy. You are allowed to wait before sharing something tender. You are allowed to observe whether someone respects small boundaries before trusting them with larger parts of you. Holding the younger self does not mean handing that child to everyone. It means becoming more thoughtful about who receives access. The woman covers the seed with soil. Now it cannot be seen. For the first time in years, it is hidden again. But this hiding is different. In the locket, it was hidden from life. In the soil, it is hidden inside life. There is a difference between disappearing and rooting. This is the smaller question I want to leave open for a little while. What if some of the quietest changes happening in you right now are not signs that nothing is happening? What if you are rooting? You may not have dramatic evidence yet. Maybe the biggest changes are private. You are less willing to chase. You recover from guilt faster. You are beginning to question the belief that everyone must approve. You are learning which conversations leave you grounded and which leave you confused. You are hearing your own no earlier. You are recognizing when you are tired before exhaustion makes the decision for you. You are becoming less impressed by words that are not supported by behavior. You are noticing when you explain someone else's actions at the expense of your own experience. You are beginning to believe that care should feel like care. These things may not look like a breakthrough. Roots do not look like blossoms. but without roots, blossoms cannot remain. There is no need to rush above ground. Let the work become real before it becomes visible. The younger part of you may have spent years trying to look okay. Your healing does not need to become another performance of looking healed. You do not need to prove peace. You do not need to prove forgiveness. You do not need to prove that you have moved on. You do not need to become impressive about your recovery. You can become more honest instead. Honest that some days are easier. Honest that some things still hurt. Honest that a boundary can be correct and still feel sad. Honest that you can miss someone and not want them back. Honest that you can love a person and choose distance. Honest that gratitude and grief can exist together. Honest that growth does not erase complexity. The seed does not need a simple story. Neither do you. You need room, warmth, enough truth to stop fighting yourself, enough discernment to know which conditions support you, enough compassion to understand why you became protective, and enough courage to see that the protection does not have to become the rest of your life. The locket can remain. You do not have to hate it. You can hold it in your hand and thank it for what it carried. Then you can set it down. Because what was once kept safe is beginning to need something more than safekeeping. It needs a place to live. And once something has been given a place to live, a different kind of responsibility begins. Not the responsibility of controlling every outcome. Not the responsibility of making growth happen on command. The responsibility of tending. Tending is quieter than forcing. It does not stand over the soil demanding proof. It does not dig up the seed every morning to check whether anything is happening. It does not mistake impatience for devotion. It creates conditions. Then it remains present. This may be one of the most important shifts you make with the younger part of yourself. You stop asking, "How quickly can I fix this?" and begin asking, "How faithfully can I care for what is changing?" Those questions lead to very different lives. Fixing creates pressure. Tending creates relationship. Fixing watches a clock. Tending watches the conditions. Fixing becomes frustrated when an old response returns. Tending becomes curious. What happened today? What became active? What did I need? What would support me now? The woman with the small pot does not know whether the seed will grow. She places the pot where it can receive warmth. She gives the soil a little water. Then she walks away. That last part matters. She walks away. She does not sit beside the pot all night. She does not make the seed responsible for proving that her care was worthwhile. She does not say, "I finally gave you everything you needed, so now you owe me a flower." She tends. Then she lets life participate. You deserve that kind of patience from yourself. You may have spent years turning improvement into a contract. If I do the work, I should never feel this again. If I understand my patterns, I should stop repeating them immediately. If I set a boundary, I should feel confident about it. If I leave what hurts me, I should stop missing it. If I forgive myself, the shame should disappear. But inner change is not a transaction. You do not insert one insight and receive permanent peace. You learn, you practice, you return. Sometimes you forget, then you return again. That repetition is not proof that the process failed. It is the process. A root does not become strong because it moved once. It continues reaching. You may need to tell yourself the same truth in many different moments before the truth becomes familiar. I am permitted to rest. I do not have to explain every boundary. Someone else's disappointment is not automatically a measure of my goodness. I can take time before answering. I can be kind without being endlessly available. I can care without carrying everything. The first time you say these things, they may sound like ideas. Later, they begin to sound like possibilities. Then one day you respond differently without planning to. That is when you realize the soil has been doing its work. Maybe someone sends a message that once would have sent you into hours of analysis. You read it. You feel the familiar tightening. But this time you do not immediately answer. You put the phone down. You make tea. You return to your own evening. Nothing spectacular happens. And yet something happened. The old pattern did not receive complete control. Maybe someone asks you for something you do not have the capacity to give. The old answer rises automatically. Of course, no problem. Then another voice arrives. Wait. You check yourself. You realize the answer is no. Your stomach tightens when you say it. You feel guilty, but you do not reverse the boundary merely to silence the guilt. Something happened. Maybe someone you care about is unhappy with you. Your first impulse is to make their unhappiness disappear. Then you ask whether you actually did something that needs repair. Perhaps you did. You apologize. Perhaps you did not. You let them have their feeling. Something happened. These are not dramatic transformations. They are the tiny green signs of a life reorganizing around self-respect. The younger self does not need you to become fearless. It needs you to become more available to yourself when fear appears. That is a much kinder goal. Fear may come. You can remain. Uncertainty may come. You can remain. Grief may come. You can remain. A difficult memory may rise. You can remain. Not trapped inside it. Present with yourself while it moves. There is strength in this kind of presence because it is not built on denial. It is built on contact. You stop running from every uncomfortable feeling as though discomfort itself is proof of danger. You also stop romanticizing discomfort as something you must endure endlessly. You learn the difference. Some discomfort belongs to growth. The discomfort of saying no, the discomfort of being honest, the discomfort of trying something unfamiliar, the discomfort of asking for help, the discomfort of being seen. Other discomfort is information that something is not right. Repeated disrespect. Manipulation. Fear that comes from actual threat. Confusion that is deliberately created. Boundaries that are repeatedly ignored. You do not need to call harm a lesson in order to prove that you are healing. Discernment is part of tending. A gardener does not water everything equally. Some things are weeds. Some conditions damage the roots. Care involves choosing what gets access to the garden. You may need to think about your inner life in this way. Who leaves you feeling more like yourself? Who leaves you needing hours to recover? Which conversations bring clarity? Which ones leave you doubting realities you understood before they began? Where do you feel permitted to have an opinion? Where do you become smaller? Where can you say no without punishment? Where does affection remain steady even when there is disagreement? These questions are not accusations. They are observations. You cannot tend your life without observing its conditions. The younger part of you may have learned to adapt to almost any environment. That adaptability may have been praised. But the adult, you can ask another question now. Do I want to keep adapting to this? There are environments you are capable of surviving that you no longer need to choose. That realization can be life-changing. Capability is not obligation. Just because you can handle being overworked does not mean overwork is healthy. Just because you can survive emotional inconsistency does not mean inconsistency is intimacy. Just because you can carry everyone's needs does not mean that should become your role. Just because you know whole, if to function without support, does not mean you must refuse support. The younger self may have learned, I can endure this. The adult can answer, I know, and we can choose differently now. That sentence has warmth in it, not judgment. I know what you learned. We can choose differently now. This is how the adult reaches backward without becoming trapped in the past. You do not move into the old house emotionally. You visit long enough to take the child's hand. Then you bring them forward, into the room you live in now, into your present choices, into the life where your voice matters, into the relationships where you are learning discernment, into the routines you are building, into the boundaries you once thought you were not permitted to have. You bring them forward. This is the part that can be missed when people speak about healing the younger self. The goal is not endless excavation. The goal is integration. The goal is for the younger part to discover that the adult exists. that there is someone here now who can make different decisions. Someone who can say, "We are tired, we are going home." Someone who can say, "That was disrespectful." Someone who can say, "We do not have to answer tonight." Someone who can say, "We made a mistake and we will repair what is ours without destroying ourselves over it." Someone who can say, "This person is kind to us." Someone who can say, "We are safe enough to receive this." Someone who can say, "This does not feel right. We are going to get help." The adult voice becomes part of the soil, a stable condition, not perfect, available. There will be days when you forget that voice. You may become reactive. You may fall into an old role. You may send the message too quickly. You may over-explain. You may agree to something and realize later that you meant no. You may return to a relationship dynamic you thought you had outgrown. Then the temptation arrives to declare the whole garden ruined. Do not. One difficult day does not uproot everything. One old response does not erase every new one. You can correct course without turning correction into punishment. I answered too quickly. Next time I can wait. I agreed when I meant no. I can revisit the conversation. I ignored my discomfort. I can pay attention now. I went back to something that hurts me. I can leave again. That is tending. You do not have to become a perfect guardian of your inner world. You need enough honesty to recognize when something requires attention. That is all growth asks in the beginning. Attention, then conditions, then time. The woman passes the pot the next morning. Nothing. The soil looks exactly as it did before. Another day, nothing. If this were a story designed to impress you, a green shoot would appear immediately. But real growth often refuses dramatic timing, so she continues with her life. She works, she answers messages. She forgets about the pot for several hours. She remembers. She checks the soil. She adds a little water when it needs it, not too much. That matters too. Overcare can become another form of fear. You can analyze yourself so relentlessly that self-awareness becomes surveillance. You can watch every reaction, interpret every dream, question every mood, search for meaning in every uncomfortable thought. This does not always create healing. Sometimes the mind takes the language of growth and turns it into another way to monitor yourself. Was that reaction healed enough? Was that boundary strong enough? Was that thought positive enough? Did I respond from my adult self? Am I doing this right? My dear, you are allowed to live while you heal. You are allowed to laugh without learning something from the laughter. You are allowed to have ordinary days. You are allowed to enjoy a meal. Watch something silly. Walk somewhere without turning the walk into a ritual. Call someone because you miss their voice. Wear something because you like it. Rest without making the rest productive. You are not a permanent repair project. You are a living person. The garden is not the whole world. It exists within a life. This is where tending becomes softer. You give attention. Then you participate in your life. You do not stare at the soil demanding growth. You trust that some changes happen while you are not watching. You may wake one day and realize you did not think about the person who once occupied your mind every morning. You may notice that criticism no longer ruins your entire day. You may hear yourself ask directly for what you need. You may leave a conversation sooner. You may recognize manipulation earlier. You may stop confusing being desired with being cherished. You may stop chasing explanations from people whose behavior already gave you an answer. These shifts can arrive quietly. That is why the smaller question we left open matters. What if some quietness is rooting? Not all quietness. Sometimes silence means avoidance. Sometimes numbness needs care. Sometimes withdrawal means something has become too much. But there is also a quietness that comes when the old drama is losing its grip. You no longer need the final word. You no longer need to prove what happened to someone who refuses to see it. You no longer replay the conversation every night. You no longer build imaginary futures around inconsistent attention. You no longer panic at every distance. There is space. At first, space can feel empty. Then it starts to feel peaceful. The child in you may not recognize peace immediately. If they grew accustomed to unpredictability, peace can feel like waiting. If they grew accustomed to earning affection, steady care can feel suspicious. If they grew accustomed to solving other people's emotions, calm may leave them wondering what they are supposed to do. This is another reason not to rush. You are teaching the younger self an entirely different relationship with stillness. Nothing is wrong. No emergency is forming. You do not have to earn the next kind moment. You do not have to scan the room. You do not have to anticipate every possible shift. You can be here. And from that place, the vow comes differently. Not as a command, not as a performance, as a promise made from the language of the seed. Listen to it once. I plant the seed I kept safe, and I tend its new growth with warmth. Let it rest there, the seed I kept safe. No shame in that, no accusation, kept safe. Then I plant, I tend, not force, not demand, not prove. Plant, tend, warmth. I plant the seed I kept safe, and I tend its new growth with warmth. This vow does not require you to know what the finished garden looks like. It only asks you to participate in the next condition. You might carry that into the rest of your day in simple ways. Before answering someone, ask whether you actually have an answer yet. Before saying yes, give yourself one full moment to hear your own response. Before dismissing your fatigue, ask whether rest is available. Before explaining a boundary, ask whether an explanation is actually necessary. Before assuming someone else's silence means rejection, return to what you know rather than what fear is inventing. Before criticizing yourself for a strong emotion, name the emotion. Before deciding you are failing, look for the root. Maybe you are doing more differently than you realize. Carry the seed into ordinary moments, not literally, as a question. What am I tending here? If you keep answering messages you resent, what are you tending? If you rest before collapse, what are you tending? If you keep chasing a person who offers uncertainty, what are you tending? If you choose a relationship that respects your no, what are you tending? Every repeated action waters something. This is not meant to frighten you into perfect choices. You will water weeds sometimes. Everyone does. You will give energy to things you later outgrow. You will misjudge people. You will misjudge yourself. Then you learn. Gardens change. You are permitted to replant. You are permitted to remove what no longer belongs. You are permitted to move something toward better light. You are permitted to begin again without calling the first attempt a failure. That may be especially important for the younger part of you. Children often believe mistakes reveal who they are. Adults around them may unintentionally reinforce this. You were careless. You are difficult. You are lazy. You are too sensitive. Repeated descriptions can become identities, but a behavior is not a destiny. You forgot something. You are not forgetfulness. You made a poor decision. You are not the decision. You stayed too long. You are not trapped forever. You trusted someone who misused that trust. Your capacity to trust is not the shameful part of that story. You can learn discernment without becoming hard. You can become wiser without becoming closed. The seed does not become safe by turning into stone. It becomes safer through roots. Roots are flexible, alive, connected. This is what you are building, not hardness. Grounding, feel the difference. Hardness says nobody gets in. Grounding says I choose carefully. Hardness says I need no one. Grounding says I know who is safe enough to ask. Hardness says I do not care. Grounding says I care, and I have boundaries around what care can cost me. Hardness says I will never be hurt again. Grounding says if I am hurt, I know how to respond with more wisdom than I had before. This is mature protection. It does not lock the seed away. It prepares the ground, and perhaps today you can bring this into your body in a simple, practical way. Not as a long ritual, just a return. Unclench your jaw if you can. Lower your shoulders a little. Let your hands rest without holding anything for a moment. Feel whatever supports your body right now. A chair, a bed, the floor beneath your feet. You do not have to make your breathing different. Just let breathing happen. There is nothing to perform here. Ask yourself one question. What does the younger part of me need from the adult me today? Not for the next year. Today. Maybe the answer is rest. Maybe it is clarity. Maybe it is protection. Maybe it is play. Maybe it is a phone call. Maybe it is a canceled obligation. Maybe it is finishing something you have avoided. Maybe it is leaving something alone. Maybe it is food. Maybe it is movement. Maybe it is a firmer no. Maybe it is permission to enjoy something without earning it first. Whatever comes, you do not need to obey every feeling automatically. Just listen. Listening itself is different from the old pattern of ignoring yourself until the feeling became unbearable. You are creating contact. Then ask the adult question. What is actually possible today? This keeps tenderness grounded. The child may want everything fixed immediately. The adult works with reality. Maybe you cannot change the entire situation today. You can send one message. You can make one appointment. You can say one honest sentence. You can leave one conversation. You can take 1 hour. You can decide not to make a decision while exhausted. You can write something down. You can ask someone you trust for help. One condition, one small patch of soil. This is enough. You do not heal by making promises you cannot keep. You build trust with yourself by making promises smug, all enough to become real. I will check what I need before I say yes. I will not answer this while angry. I will eat before deciding I am emotionally falling apart. I will ask one person for support. I will stop reading the message tonight. I will give myself until morning. These are humble promises. That is why they matter. They can be lived. And every lived promise says to the younger self, the adult is here, not somewhere above you. Here, in the next choice, in the next boundary, in the next act of care. The seed is not alone in a closed locket anymore. It has company, warmth, contact, time. You may still carry the locket. Of course you may. There is history in it. There is tenderness in the fact that a younger version of you tried to keep something precious from being lost. You do not need to throw away the evidence of protection to prove that you are ready for growth. You can honor the protector and change the method. Thank you for keeping this safe. I will take it from here, not with control, with care, not with pressure, with patience, not by making the younger self disappear, by giving that self a place inside the life you are living now. And if this feels tender, keep it simple. I am planting. I am tending. I am learning warmth. I am making room. I am giving this time. The language can become smaller now. The truth does not need so many words. I make room. I choose care. I honor the root. I trust small growth. I welcome steadiness. I choose good soil. I protect what matters. I listen inward. I respond with care. I can take time. I can choose again. I can rest here. I can grow slowly. I can be real. I can be held. I can receive. I can root. I can begin. And somewhere beneath the surface, something that once knew only how to remain safe is learning what it means to live. And learning what it means to live does not always look like becoming louder. Sometimes life returns as preference. You begin knowing what you want for dinner without first asking what everyone else wants. You choose the seat that feels comfortable. You stop apologizing for taking a little longer. You leave when you are tired. You admit that something is not funny to you. You say, "I need to think about that." You discover that your life contains hundreds of tiny moments in which you can return to yourself. That return is not selfishness. It is contact. For years, perhaps contact with yourself happened only after everyone else had been considered. What do they want? What will make this easier? What will avoid tension? What will make me look kind? What answer will disappoint no one? Then, if anything remained, you looked inward. Healing changes the order, not so that other people stop mattering, so that you matter inside your own life too. You can care about someone else and hear yourself at the same time. You can consider their needs without erasing yours. You can be generous without making generosity the price of belonging. You can compromise without always being the one who disappears inside the compromise. This is what living soil begins to teach. A garden is not created by one plant surrendering all its space. Life needs room. Your life needs room. There may be people who preferred the version of you who required less room. That can hurt. Someone may call your new boundary distance. Someone may call your clarity selfishness. Someone may become confused when the person who always said yes begins saying, "I can't." Someone may miss the version of you who absorbed every inconvenience quietly. Their reaction does not automatically tell you whether your growth is wrong. Sometimes people are responding to a change in access. You can listen. You can consider whether you have been fair. You can repair when repair is needed. But you no longer have to treat every negative reaction as a command to return to the locket. The locket was small for a reason. It kept everything contained. Contained, people are often very convenient. They ask little. They reveal little. They rarely require others to adjust. But you were not born to become convenient enough that nobody ever has to meet the real you. The seed was never meant to remain exactly the size it was when someone first held it. Growth changes shape. Growth takes space. Roots spread. Leaves turn toward light. A living thing responds to what nourishes it. You are permitted to do the same. The woman with the little pot does not see anything above the soil for several days. Then one morning, she almost walks past it. She is carrying a cup, thinking about something else. Her mind is already inside the day ahead. Then she sees a slight disturbance in the surface. At first she thinks the soil has dried unevenly. She leans closer. There it is, so small that it could have been missed. A pale curve breaking through the dark soil. Not a flower, not a branch, not even a proper leaf yet, just evidence. The seed was alive. All those years alive, not growing, but alive. This closes the question we left beneath the soil. What if some quietness is rooting? Sometimes it is. Sometimes progress is happening before you have language for it. Sometimes the first evidence is so small that only you would recognize it. You stop yourself before sending the fifth message. A root. You believe your own discomfort sooner. A root. You do not laugh when someone says something that hurts you. A root. You ask for clarification instead of assuming blame. A root. You leave the room rather than remaining for another hour of disrespect. A root. You let somebody help you. A root. You admit that you want something. A root. You rest before becoming sick with exhaustion. A root. You apologize for what was yours without apologizing for your entire existence. A root. You hear someone's disappointment and remain connected to yourself. A root. You understand that guilt is sometimes only the feeling of doing something unfamiliar. A root. No one else may see these things. They may not understand why they matter. You understand. Because you know the old pattern. You know how quickly you once abandoned your own signal. You know how many sentences you used to add after no. You know how difficult it once felt to let someone be unhappy with you. You know how often you confused being wanted with being safe. You know how long you could remain inside uncertainty while calling it hope. You know. So you also know when something has changed. Do not make your growth prove itself with spectacle. Some of the deepest changes will look ordinary from the outside. That is all right. A root is not less important because nobody applauds underground. Let that become part of your peace. You do not need witnesses for every inner shift. You do not need to announce that you are becoming stronger. You do not need to explain why you have become quieter around certain people. You do not need to publish every boundary. You do not need to convince everyone that your new choices are healthy. Live them. Let the evidence become your life. The younger self may have spent years trying to be believed. The adult does not need to turn every truth into a courtroom. Some truths can simply guide the next decision. This hurts me. This nourishes me. This exhausts me. This feels steady. This relationship requires more than I can keep giving. This friendship feels mutual. This work rhythm is costing too much. This conversation can wait. This apology feels sincere. This behavior has not changed. This person feels trustworthy. This situation does not. Simple truths. Useful truths. You are not required to decorate them. The seed does not make a speech before becoming green. It grows. And the woman watches the tiny shoot for a long time that morning. A memory moves through her. The child with the spoon, the hard patch of earth, the hurried decision, the locket closing. I will plant it when I find the right place. The promise was not broken. It was delayed. That distinction matters. There may be promises you made to yourself without realizing it. One day I will rest. One day I will speak. One day I will stop trying to earn love. One day I will do something that belongs to me. One day I will stop being afraid of disappointing people. One day I will stop explaining why I deserve basic care. One day I will return to the part of myself I left waiting. Perhaps one day does not need to mean some perfect future. Perhaps one day is made from small todays. Today, one honest answer. Today, one boundary. Today, one moment of rest without self-attack. Today, one conversation in which you do not abandon what you know. Today, one act of kindness directed inward. Today, one choice made from the adult you rather than the frightened rule you inherited. That is how the promise becomes real. Not all at once, in pieces. You go back not to rebuild the past. You go back to retrieve what still belongs in the present. The tenderness, the curiosity, the voice, the playfulness, the ability to want things without defending the wanting. The part that once believed growth was possible. The younger you may contain pain, yes. But pain is not the only thing there. There may also be imagination, humor, sensitivity, a fierce sense of fairness, a love of music, a fascination with small things, an ability to become absorbed in creation, a way of laughing that did not first check whether anyone else approved. Do not make your younger self only a wounded character in your story. That child contained life. The wound was something that happened around the life. It was not the whole life. This is why the seed matters more than the locket. If we focused only on the locket, the story would become about what closed. But the locket was carrying something living, something with a future larger than the container. You are larger than what happened to you. That does not erase what happened. It puts it in its proper place. Pain may be part of your history. It does not receive ownership of your entire identity. A coping pattern may have shaped years of your life. It is still a pattern, not a prophecy. A relationship may have changed you. It does not get to define what all future love must feel like. A period of loneliness may have taught you to protect yourself. It does not mean closeness must always be unsafe. The future does not owe the past repetition. That is another kind of permission. Something new may actually be new. A kind person does not have to become the person who hurt you. A calm day does not have to be the quiet before disaster. A healthy disagreement does not have to become abandonment. A good opportunity does not have to hide punishment. Receiving does not always create debt. You can check reality as it unfolds. Not every open door is a T-wrap. Not every silence is rejection. Not every boundary is loss. Not every ending is failure. Not every beginning needs certainty. Your task is not to become naive. Your task is to become present enough to distinguish now from then. The younger self may say, "This happened before." The adult can answer, "I know." Then look again. Is this the same person, the same situation, the same danger, the same lack of options? If the answer is yes, respond accordingly. If the answer is no, let the present have a chance to be different. That is how you stop asking today to pay for everything yesterday did. You become more accurate, more discerning, less controlled by old prediction. And perhaps the most loving thing you can offer the younger you is not endless reassurance that nothing bad can happen. Perhaps it is confidence in your present capacity. If something feels wrong, I will listen. If I need support, I will reach. If someone repeatedly harms me, I can create distance. If I am confused, I can take time. If I make a mistake, I can repair. If I become afraid, I can respond without making fear my enemy. If I forget myself, I can return. You can return again and again. Returning is not failure. Returning is the skill. There will always be moments when attention moves outward. There will always be relationships that matter. Responsibilities, stress, changes, losses. There will be days when you become tired and old habits move faster. The goal is not permanent self-focus. The goal is knowing the road back. You know the road now. It begins with recognizing the locket. What am I protecting? Then recognizing the seed. What is still alive here? Then the soil. What conditions support growth? Then the tending. What can I do today? Simple. Not easy every time, but simple. What am I protecting? What is still alive? What supports growth? What can I do today? Those questions can travel with you. No ceremony required. Ask them in the car. Ask them before sending the message. Ask them while standing in the kitchen. Ask them after a difficult conversation. Ask them when you are tempted to say yes too quickly. Ask them when you hear yourself becoming cruel toward your own fear. They bring you back. And now the words can become quieter. There is less to explain. The seed has entered the soil. The root has begun. You do not need to force the rest. I hold the younger me with love, and I give that living seed a safe place to grow. Let that be enough. You do not need to repeat it perfectly. You do not need to feel transformed. You can carry one piece. I hold the younger me with love. Or, I give this part of me room. Or, I am willing to create better conditions. Use what feels honest. Truth has more value than performance. If you cannot say, I feel safe, do not say it because you think you should. Say, I am learning what safety can feel like. If you cannot say, I trust completely, say, I am learning where trust belongs. If you cannot say, I love every part of myself, say, I am willing to stop attacking the part that hurts. These are living statements. They can grow with you. They do not demand that you leap somewhere emotionally. They meet your feet where they are. That is warmth, not pretending. Warmth. The woman moves the pot closer to the window. A few days later, the first small leaves begin to open. She does not recognize the plant yet. She has forgotten what kind of seed it was. That almost makes her laugh. All that protection, all those years, and she cannot even remember what the finished plant is supposed to become. Maybe there is wisdom in that too. You do not have to know the final version of yourself. You do not need a perfect picture. Healing does not require you to design the finished person. You can become curious. Who am I when I no longer organize so much of my life around avoiding rejection? Who am I when rest is no longer a reward? Who am I when my no becomes trustworthy? Who am I when I stop mistaking anxiety for intuition every time? Who am I when I let people show me who they are instead of filling every silence with my own fear? Who am I when I choose relationships where care moves both ways? You may not know. Good. You are growing. Growth contains discovery. You are not manufacturing a new identity from instructions. You are giving life enough room to reveal itself. That is why there is no need to hold the younger self forever as someone fragile. Hold them long enough to teach them they are no longer alone. Then let them grow. Let the shy child become selective rather than invisible. Let the sensitive child become discerning rather than ashamed. Let the responsible child learn that responsibility can include rest. Let the child who wanted everyone happy learn that other people can carry their own emotions. Let the child who feared rejection learn that being rejected by the wrong place can lead toward belonging somewhere more honest. Let the seed become something you cannot predict from the shell. You do not owe your past a permanent version of yourself. you can change. You can become unfamiliar to people who only knew your coping patterns. You can become unfamiliar to yourself. At first, that may feel strange, then it may feel like freedom. And now, my dear, there is nothing more you have to solve here. No hidden test remains. No final emotional breakthrough is required. You have heard the story. The locket has opened. The seed here has been planted. The root has found soil. The first green sign has appeared. You can let the rest continue without constant supervision. These words do not need to remain in your mind all day. Take the sentence that belongs to you. Leave the rest. You are not missing anything by releasing your attention. Healing is not improved by gripping it. Sometimes the next part happens while you are making lunch, while you are answering an ordinary call, while you are walking somewhere familiar, while you are laughing, while you are living. So let the language become even smaller now. Let it become something the body does not have to work hard to hold. I am here. I can return. I make room. I choose warmth. I trust the root. I honor my pace. I can take time. I hear myself. I respect my no. I welcome care. I choose truth. I deserve respect. I can ask. I can receive. I can rest. I can pause. I can learn. I can change. I can leave. I can stay wisely. I can begin again. My needs matter. My voice matters. My limits matter. My peace matters. My life matters. I choose good soil. I choose steady care. I choose honest love. I choose mutual respect. I choose room to grow. I release old proving. I release needless explaining. I release borrowed guilt. I release old roles. I release the demand to be easy. I release the need to earn rest. I release the belief that care must hurt. I release the belief that uncertainty defines my worth. I return to myself. I return with patience. I return with truth. I return with warmth. The younger me is heard. The younger me has room. The younger me is not a problem. The younger me can grow. The seed is living. The soil is ready. The roots can deepen. The light can come. I do not rush. 2.0s. I do not force. I tend. I learn. I choose. I grow. More slowly if needed. More honestly. More freely. One route. One choice. One day. Enough room. Enough warmth. Enough truth. I am here. You are here. And that is where the promise of the title finally becomes real. You can go back and hold the younger you without building a home in the past. You can return long enough to find what was kept safe. You can bring it forward. You can place it into the life you have now. A life where love can include boundaries. A life where tenderness can include discernment. A life where care can become action. A life where your younger self no longer has to protect everything alone. The past remains part of your story. It does not have to remain the place where your future is decided. You are not going backward. You are retrieving life. And once that life is in your hands, you can stop asking it to survive inside a tiny closed space. You can offer soil. You can offer time. You can offer better conditions. That is where healing starts. Not with forcing yourself to forget. Not with pretending everything was fine. Not with becoming a person who never feels pain. With contact, with care, with the decision to respond differently when the old part of you appears. There may be a day when you are standing in an ordinary room and something happens that once would have pulled you completely away from yourself. A look, a silence, a criticism, a delay. The old response begins. Then something else arrives. A tiny space. You hear your own voice. You remember that you have choices. You do not become the child waiting for the room to decide whether you are safe. You become the adult who checks the conditions. That moment may last 3 seconds. It may change the direction of an entire evening. That is how healing often enters a life. Quietly. Not as a grand announcement, as a different next step. Honor those steps. They are evidence. The woman eventually leaves the locket beside the pot. She does not put the seed back inside. There is no reason to. The locket has completed its work. Now it becomes a reminder, not of what was lost, of what was kept. The seed survived its waiting. And perhaps there are places inside you that survived their waiting too. You do not have to demand that they bloom today. You only need to stop assuming that stillness meant there was nothing there. You can become interested again. What did I love before I learned to impress? What did I want before I learned to ask whether wanting was acceptable? What made me curious? What made me feel alive? What part of myself became inconvenient? What part became too quiet? You may find some of it. You may discover something completely new instead. Both are welcome. The goal is not to recreate childhood innocence. You know too much now. You have lived. You have lost. You have learned. The goal is to let knowledge and tenderness exist in the same person. Wisdom without hardness, care without self-erasure, boundaries without cruelty, hope without denial, trust with discernment. That is mature growth. It does not ask you to become less aware. It asks you to stop using awareness only to anticipate pain. Awareness can also detect goodness. Who is consistent? Who listens? Where do you feel spacious? What work gives something back? Which habits help your mind settle? Which places feel nourishing? What kind of life lets your shoulders drop? Pay attention to that too. A person trained to scan for danger may need practice recognizing nourishment. Let yourself learn. This feels good. This feels mutual. This feels clear. This feels respectful. This feels peaceful. No apology, no suspicion required, just information. Good soil exists, and when you find it, you do not have to apologize for growing there. If these words held something tender for you today, you may subscribe and return whenever you need another place to meet yourself with this kind of care. Nothing more is required. No promise to become different by tomorrow. No pressure to carry every line. Take what belongs to you. Perhaps only this. The seed was never wrong for waiting. Perhaps only this. Protection was not failure. Perhaps only this. You have choices now. Perhaps only this. You can give yourself better conditions. Let one sentence travel with you. The rest can settle. There is still life to live today. Ordinary life, good life, imperfect life, your life. Bring yourself into it. Not the polished version, not the version that never needs. You, the one who is learning, the one who sometimes forgets, the one who returns, the one who is becoming more trustworthy to themselves. You do not need to stand over your own heart and supervise every movement. Tend what matters, then live. The seed knows something about becoming that the locket never needed to know. It knows how to open. It knows how to reach. It knows how to move toward nourishment without having a map of the finished garden. You can learn that too. One honest choice, one respected boundary, one received kindness, one quiet root. You are not late. You are here. The soil is warm. The root is finding its way. You are here. All is well. The seed is home in the earth now.